Welcome to a nutty adventure exploring personal growth and wellness, breaking down the stigma around mental health along the way. Let's dive in because now it's time to show me your nuts.
Well, good morning and happy Tuesday, everybody. Apparently, at the moment, we are only live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch because the Facebook ones got disconnected. And I'm just going to go with that for the moment because it's Nutty Tuesday. Welcome. My name is Stacy Braiuca. I am the Squirrel Wrangler, and I guide humans to wrangle their inner squirrels of limiting beliefs, negative emotions, and self-doubt so they can live in peace and joy. And this is Show Me Your Nuts, the weekly live stream that helps we're trying to help reclaim that word nuts from talking about stigma to talking about mental wellness. So, and it is now officially for sure and definitely Freedom Month. So I'm picking up the comments real quick and seeing who's watching. Looks like we've got a couple of watchers, but not too many comments yet. So welcome to Freedom Month. So last month we tried to connect deeply with ourselves and with each other. So now it's time to take that and to find the freedom and break free from what's holding us back. We're going to talk today about limiting beliefs that keep us stuck, and especially the big kahuna of that, the I'm not ready. So if you're watching, tell me, are you ready? And tell me if you're not ready. And we're going to have a poll a little bit later on about that. But I'm just going to kind of take the temperature of who's there of, and are you ready when it comes to tackling limiting beliefs that keep you stuck or looking at your limiting beliefs? I love this one. If I waited until I was ready, I would never start. Right? It's like you're ready, you're getting ready to get ready to get ready to get ready. One of my previous coaches used to say that is, stop getting ready to get ready. Just be ready already and do the thing. And one of the things I'm gonna do here to be ready or to get myself re-ready, I'm gonna try and change my where I'm sitting here. That's not it. I should have checked this earlier, you would think, so that I can sit in my chair instead of being right big on screen. I felt like I was too big on there. I wasn't ready to be too big. So let's do this energy check. On a scale from trapped squirrel to soaring eagle, how do you feel today? On a scale from trapped squirrel to soaring eagle. And being ready is definitely an illusion. Thank you to the Breakthrough Show Network for being on the Breakthrough Show Network on Show Me Your Nuts. Seriously, I like to be ready. I feel like to be ready is an illusion. You could be 100% ready, but life happens. Life gets in the way. And I think Ollie's got it down pat. Squirrel eagle. On a spectrum from squirrel to eagle, they said squirrel eagle. Spot on. So let's look a little bit at freedom as a concept, as a word. Freedom isn't just doing whatever you want. It's breaking the invisible chains in here, in your mind. So when we think of freedom, some people think of freedom as just doing, I'm going to do whatever the heck I want. Well, that's not always the best thing, because if I'm doing whatever I want and it harms someone else, it's freedom for me, but it's pain for the other person. And that feels really icky personally. That that's a dilemma of I don't want to hurt someone else just because I can do for me to do what I want. But when you shift your definition of what freedom is from being able to just do whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want, to freedom being breaking the invisible chains inside, the internal freedom, it changes the way that you view the word. And that has implications where if you break the invisible chains in here, you're more likely to be kind and good and ethical to the other people involved. That's my opinion, but you know, that happens. I love it. Yeah, you're not free from consequences. So there's freedom and Ollie's saying, "My freedom stops when other people's freedom begins." I absolutely agree. Um, and we all may have different ways to view that. I'm gonna try this. Oh, that's a great big me. I'm gonna go back to the bubble of me. Um, for those of you who don't know, we're streaming from a place called StreamYard, and they actually just updated their software this week, and there's new buttons and things everywhere, and I like pushing all the new buttons. So let's squirrel back to freedom isn't just doing whatever you want, but it's breaking the invisible chains in here. And the connection of freedom to mental health and mental wellness is that limiting beliefs impact our mental wellness. And those invisible chains inside our mind are limiting beliefs. So to be fully mentally well and free, for mental freedom, if you will, or wellness freedom, is to look at those limiting beliefs and looking at those invisible chains and figuring out how to best break those. So, limiting beliefs are trauma responses, or some people think of them as trauma responses. I think that the phrase trauma response, much like other phrases in the mental wellness space, become overused and misunderstood. And that causes us to be even more, it almost causes more stigma because we talk about the words so much that they become ubiquitous and we don't actually think about what they truly mean. Um, so talking about trauma responses or trauma dumping, I think is a current version of, oh, we talk about that so much that it's just a catchword. It's not really a description, or we're not really talking underneath it. We're just saying, "Oh, I trauma dump," or "Oh, it's a trauma response." And my colleagues may look at me sideways about that. But I think it's more important for us to go underneath and go, "Hey, what does that limiting belief or that thing do or cause for the individual?" We need to look at things as individuals, not just as a phrase. Not just putting a catchphrase on things. Things like when people are diagnosed with different things. In my field, there's, I'm a clinical social worker. I have the knowledge and background and frankly, sometimes the burden of diagnosing other individuals with specific mental health diagnoses so that they can get services. And I have mixed feelings about that. The mixed feelings are, yes, I have to put that label on a person so that they can get a service, but I need to be to me, that's also a big responsibility because that label then can follow them the rest of their life. And it could even become a limiting belief about themselves by me putting the label on. And so am I causing them more harm than good by putting the label on? Or are we causing ourselves more harm than good by putting a mental health label on ourselves or a catchphrase? And that actually is limiting ourselves and causing us a limiting belief because we're putting that label there and saying, oh, well, that's my ADHD, or I'm ADHD and that's why I do things that way. And this is the only way ADHD looks. And none of those things are true. And all of those things are true at the same time. And what I mean by that is diagnoses are box people in, but they also don't look the same on each individual. Everybody looks different when it comes to those things. And I'm just gonna pop up the comment by a breakthrough all of this. I'm getting some feels. Thank you. I'm glad that you guys are picking up what I'm putting down on it. And Ollie, that's because of behind each label, there's a Venn symbol of things. I think you're meaning Venn diagrams, hopefully, is where it's yes and I love that. So when I say limiting beliefs are trauma responses disguised as protection, let's reframe that to limiting beliefs are feels coming up that we have carried around this protection. The limiting belief is a protection we've carried around to protect us from something that has happened to us that hurt us. Whether it's a trauma response or whether it's a just something we didn't understand earlier in our life. But at some point in our life, something an event happens, then a limiting belief, a decision about a limiting belief, we make a decision about ourselves that, oh, I am blank, blank, blank because this happened. And then that protects us in part of our life, but it also can keep us limited, and it actually can limit our freedom. And so that's why we've got to break those invisible chains. That's why we've got to break the invisible chains. If you want to learn more about this kind of thing, about limiting beliefs and about how to deal with them, I have a really, really cool, I think it's cool, free course. And there's a listing in the bottom of the screen where it says learn more about my nuts, stacybraiuca.com/UYP. And I want to tell you a little bit more about that course because it's free and I want you to hear about it. So here we go. I'm going to play a clip about the course. Are you feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure how to move forward? It might be time to unlock your true potential and overcome the challenges that have been holding you back. I have a self-paced course, Unlock Your Potential, Navigating the Big 7 Challenges, that was built for individuals who are ready to create meaningful change in their lives. It focuses on the most common personal development roadblocks: burnout, fear of change, poor communication, tech overwhelm, limiting beliefs, lack of self-care, and disconnection from core values. Inside the course, you'll explore practical tools to recognize and recover from burnout by identifying energy drains and establishing personal boundaries. Through strategic balance plans, you'll also build healthier rhythms in your day-to-day life. I get it. Change can be difficult, but you'll learn how to move through the transitions with confidence by cultivating adaptability, resilience, and a growth mindset. The exercises guide you to expand your comfort zone while learning from setbacks. Mental wellness takes center stage with mindfulness practices and self-care strategies. You'll learn to regulate emotions, be more present, and nurture your inner calm, all while discovering ways to care for yourself. Clear, confident communication is the key to strong relationships. You'll gain skills like active listening, using I statements, and building trust. These lessons help connect more deeply with those around you while expressing yourself with clarity and empathy. So, yes, we live in a digital world, but that doesn't mean that it has to run our lives. This course actually helps you set healthy tech boundaries while you're boosting productivity through mindful technology use and taking control of your time again with planning tools and a digital declutter strategy. Self-doubt and limiting beliefs often lurk in the background of our thoughts. In this course, you'll learn how to identify and challenge those beliefs, rewriting them into empowering affirmations that support your goals. And you'll learn confidence rituals and journaling to support your growth forward. Finally, the course will help you reconnect with what truly matters. By discovering your core values and aligning your actions with them, you begin to live with more authenticity, more purpose, and find more peace. This isn't just about learning, it's about transformation. Every lesson includes a practical exercise designed to help you move from awareness to action. From personal strategy, energy audits, to creating authenticity action plans, you'll walk away with a toolkit that you can use for life. Now it's time to invest in yourself. But did I mention the most important part? This course is completely free. Free! So begin your journey now towards greater clarity, resilience, and purpose. Sign up today at stacybraiuca.com/UYP and take your first step towards unlocking the future that's waiting just for you. So, the free course, if you scan your screen or go to stacybraiuca.com/UYP, and I put the QR code because, yeah, I know spelling my last name is not always easy for people. So the QR code makes that a little bit easier if the logo isn't over it. So it's scrolling on the bottom of the screen if you want to take my free course, because I want you to explore your perfectionism, fear, expectations, limiting beliefs, self-doubt, learn new skills, and explore and find your freedom from those things. So think of it as maybe kind of even an extension from this show. Let me look at the comments here. We've got um, and I probably have less comments because the Facebook's not working, and I'm sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened. It got disconnected, and I found out literally as the show started. So we'll post the show onto Facebook's afterwards today. So let's go from looking at that those fears and those limiting beliefs, and let's dive into the big one. Let's dive into that big one of I'm not ready. And I'm going to posit that the belief that you need to be ready before taking action is actually a myth. Think about the idea of, could we not take action even if we're not ready? Not completely jumping out of the airplane, maybe, but could we put the parachute on our back and get into the airplane and take a ride? We're not jumping out of the airplane. We're just seeing what it's like to have the parachute on our back and seeing what it's like to be in the airplane. Then maybe another time we take the parachute and we bungee cord from somewhere, because then we'll be connected. And then maybe that third time we're like, let's go. Instead of having the bungee cord, I'm going to pull that rip cord. The belief that you need to be ready before you take action is a myth. It comes from our programming that's deep inside of us about perfection. It comes from fear of being judged by others. It comes from past failures that create future hesitation. If you failed in the past, the next time that situation comes up, you may be going, I I don't know. I don't know, that didn't work out so well last time. I don't like it. I don't like it." But really, the truth underneath all of that is there's never really a fully ready for things. And see, the balloons agree with me, and when the you guys if you know me, when the balloons agree with me, it's spirit saying, "Yes, that's true." Nobody is ever fully ready. None of us are ever fully ready for things. There's a first draft when we learn writing for a reason, because it's a first draft and then we can tweak it. There's a first time that you actually jump out of that airplane on everything. There's the second time where you jump out of the airplane and go, "You know, last time I waited a little bit too long. This time I'm gonna pull that ripcord a little earlier." Or I didn't, I waited too long, or I did it too early and I'm gonna pull it later. There's always refinements to the things. So we're never fully ready for things. The readiness actually comes from action, not from before it. Now, don't get me wrong, preparation is important. And if we have the opportunity to prepare, we can. I prepared that we went on Facebooks today, but apparently something happened that didn't work. So even though I prepared that and I was ready for the show, it's not perfect. And things don't have to be perfect. In fact, I'll say that 99.99999, keep those nines going, percent of the time, nothing is perfect. That only that 0.000000, however many zeros, 1% of the time, things might be perfect. The other thing is perfection is only in the perception of the individual's mind. So Stacy's perfection is different than someone else's perfection. And therefore, is there ever really 100% perfection? Think about that one for a minute. Really think about it. My perfection is different than your perfection is different than someone else's perfection. And so is there ever really 100% perfection? No. There's not even perfection in my mind. Is I can get close to what the thing is that I really wanna do, or I can say, "Oh, that was perfect," because I felt that it was perfect as I was doing it. You don't feel that perfection until you are doing it, and then you go, "Oh my god, that was it. That was perfect." And that's your feelings coming up, your emotions coming up, that something is perfect. So you don't know it's perfect until you know it's perfect. Here we go. Absolutely. Speaking of perfect, Breakthrough Show Network for the win. Mic drop. Perfection is a perception. Spot on. That's it. So let's back up just a bit to readiness. Readiness comes from action, not before it. So we're not ready until we take action. Preparation comes before readiness, but readiness comes from acting on the thing. And research on successful people talk about how they started before they were ready. So what's holding you back from doing the thing, whatever the thing is? It can't be I'm not ready. It's I haven't taken action. So the real world impact of that The real world impact of are you ready or are you not ready is that you miss opportunities while you're waiting on being ready. And you want to be ready to get prepared. And then if you don't prepare and you don't take action, you miss the thing. You miss the train altogether. And then there's regret and upset. And then, oh, I wasn't ready. I'll never be ready. And it reinforces the negative limiting belief of I'm not ready. And you put yourself in a cycle of never being ready and never doing the thing unless you just do the thing or start doing the thing. Another phrase that comes to mind is a journey of 500 miles starts with one step. You can't take a journey of 500 miles without taking the first step. So if you don't take the first step, you miss opportunities. Your dreams are deferred indefinitely. You have, forget the dreams because it's, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, I'm not ready. And so you never see the dreams. You think about them, but you never feel the dreams. You only feel them when you act on them. And then that builds the compound effect of the inaction, and it puts us back in the spiral, in the spiral, in the spiral. And a lot of times that's a spiral downwards. It's a spiral downwards into negative, more limiting beliefs, more negativity, more feelings of inadequacy, more feels on the negative side of things instead of the spiraling up, which is more feels on the positive side of things. So what if you changed that? You changed the way you were thinking of it to, I'm ready enough to take the next step. I'm ready enough to take the next small step. Dip your toe in the water, if you will. So you break the big thing down that you want to do, that you're dreaming about, and you break it all down. And what's one small step that you can take for it? So while you're thinking about how to break that big thing down into the one small step, I want to celebrate the Breakthrough Show Network's birthday because of one small step and one small scary action that Jessica took 7 years ago. I'm getting chills thinking about this. That one tiny step that she took, there's now a network, and it's been there 7 years. Happy birthday, Breakthrough Show Network. Happy birthday.
For years, our network commercial has begun with the following words: breakthroughs are about more than you might think. We stand by those words because they're true. Big breakthroughs don't always happen in big moments. It doesn't have to take losing it all to experience a giant shift in your life. Some of them arrive quietly in the night, during a moment of laughter, or when you unexpectedly meet someone new. Big opportunities for breakthroughs are happening all the time. Have you recognized them? Have you chosen to see them? Have you made the brave decision to act on them? Big breakthroughs aren't always handed to you on a silver platter. Sometimes we can create breakthroughs by listening to that small, still voice inside of us that whispers, "It's time." Every breakthrough is a big breakthrough because even the smallest, quietest of moments can be the tiniest pebble that creates a ripple effect that changes the world. Your potential is unlimited. As we approach our 8th year, I'm reminded of the very important work we do. Work that I envisioned so strongly with every fiber of my being all those years ago. Now I am moved to tears often as I've watched it come to life before my eyes. I am filled with gratitude. I am filled with love. Most importantly, for the first time ever, I am filled with not just hope, but the absolute knowing that we are making a difference in lives all across the globe. We are the moment of laughter. We are the presenters of opportunity. We are the creators of inspiration. We are the magnification of the small, still voices that live inside each and every one of us. We are the pebbles that are changing the world. We are the Breakthrough Show Network. And you, well, you're invited. Visit us today at thebreakthroughshownetwork.com. We'll see you there.
Okay, I don't know about you, but that gives me chills and laughter. And I think one of my favorite parts of that video are the curlers. I absolutely everything very serious and then the curlers. But, curls are serious. I mean, look at the straightness here. One tiny step. Jessica took one tiny step and created everything you just saw in there. And it's why I'm here. Because I felt like my missions as the Squirrel Wrangler aligned with the Breakthrough Show Network. And so I've only been here for 4 episodes, but I feel like I'm at home. And thank you, Jessica, for that. So before I start crying, because I know she's sitting there blubbering with the Kleenex right now. Before I start crying, let's get back to some serious. And let's do an assessment of the community. We're going to use Slido again. We have used Slido before, and I'm going to pull the one for this week up. So, what is your biggest I'm not ready excuse? So I want you to this poll is going to be up for the week. So if you're watching this on the replay, and I hope someone is, go ahead and use this QR code and see if the poll is still there. And if it's still there, you can answer it. If it's not still there, you can see our results. What is your biggest I'm not ready excuse? Is it I need more training and education? Is it I need to be perfect first? Is it I need more time? And is it I need permission? So give your answer on the poll, and let's keep an eye on it as we keep talking about things. So answer the poll, but I'm also going to give you something else to think about. So I want to give you a couple seconds to answer the poll. While Jessica's snotting in her Kleenex. And I now you're gonna have to get me one. Love you with all the Kleenex in the box. And here's an interesting thought. Picking the top one, but it's not so much the training education as it is the credentials. So I'd love to know, is training and credential or is training and education versus credentials? And is that because we put weight on credentials as opposed to someone's knowledge, wisdom, and skills? Because I kind of have some conflicting beliefs about having all the credentials versus having the knowledge and skills. Because so you say the weight of the the credentials are proof. But I know plenty of credentialed people who they've got the letters, but they don't walk the talk. And so I'm going to say yes, and yes, they are proof that you have gone through an education and experience. And yes, ingrained in many of us as kids that you go to college, you get a degree, and then you're going to be respected. As somebody who's been to college, who has a degree or 3, and who has credentials or 10, I'm going to disagree with the limiting belief that was put in us that you're not enough unless you have credentials, or that you have to have a degree in order to be respected, or in order to have wisdom, in order to be valuable in society. And again, my colleagues might disagree with me. But I'm all about being argumentative. Just ask Cashew Quilt. She'll tell you how argumentative I am. I think that we are programmed by society that we would be more respected, but I think that also can manifest itself as a limiting belief that you are not worthy unless you have a degree or credentials. Because to be honest, we all have value, and it doesn't have to manifest itself in that you have taken a form of education and done the thing. My favorite quote in the world is, "Action is indeed the" oh, here I'm gonna butcher it. "Action is indeed the sole expression of ethics." So I know I kind of butchered that, but that's by Jane Addams. She's one of the what I call the grandmothers of one of my professions, the social work profession. Jane Addams. She helped start the settlement movement in around 100 years ago in Chicago, and the settlement house movement was she adopted those things from England. But what I like about her quote of "action is indeed the sole expression of ethics" is that our ethics, to me, our ethics are worth our value, and our being true to ourselves, our authenticity, if you will, and our integrity come back to our actions. Basically, the phrase, "our actions speak louder than our words." If your actions speak the same thing as your words, if your actions speak the same thing as your credentials, then yes, I do feel like the credentials have value. But that's kind of part of my argument, is that we all have value, but the biggest value comes from our ethical actions, not just from how many letters you have behind your name. If you notice, the letters I have behind my name here are Squirrel Wrangler. They're not BSW, MSW, MPH, blah, 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 blah. Yes, I've got a few initials, but that's not what makes me valuable to the world. What makes me valuable to the world are my actions. And that's my view of it. Again, we're back to, my view of the thing is different than your view of the thing. So let's check in with our poll and see who I love it. Yes. Value your nuts. A new hashtag is born every week on this show. Thank you, Mic Drop, for value your nuts. That's the newest one. I love it. And I've got to make my screen bigger so I can see. It looks like the I need to be perfect first wins so far, but we'll watch this poll through the week. And if you're watching on the replay, go check the poll out and see what the results are at that point in time. And if you haven't answered already, what are you waiting for? Take the first step, click the button. Actually, the first step's scan the thing, then click the button. Let me know, what is your biggest I'm not ready excuse? Is it I need to be perfect first? I need more training education, I need more time, and I need permission. So let's see. I was seeing if it would let me answer it, and it's not letting me right now. So give me 1 second. I'm going to try and answer the poll myself. And I'll have to add my answer later. Mine is I need more time. Nina, welcome. Welcome to Show Me Your Nuts, Nina Brooke. I love the heart on the end of your name and the hello. Would love to hear what your answer to the poll is, or see, because the poll keeps your answer anonymous compared to others, and that's kind of important too, right? So let's recap what we've talked about today. We're talking about limiting beliefs, about a limiting belief of being not enough, for not being perfect, for not being credentialed, for not being whatever the thing is. And that if you can get to that limiting belief, figure out what it is and break it, then you can help take the next step forward. Because if you can break free from the limiting belief, then you can maybe take that next little bitty step so that you actually are ready. So I want to tell you about 3 things that you can do to start breaking free. And you can do those today. So one is the good enough challenge. The good enough challenge is picking one thing, not 10, not 500, not all the things on your to-do list, picking one thing. And can you do that one thing at 70% perfect today? Pick one thing, good enough challenge. I'm good enough. 70%. I'm good enough today. Changes how you look at the things. The second thing that you can do is write yourself a permission slip. Those of you in the audience who are old enough to remember having to have permission slips from your parents to go on field trips from school, and that the teachers would send home this thing called paper. It's usually larger than this, but paper. They'd send home paper and they'd have, I give my child blank permission to go on the field trip to the zoo with such and such school on such and such date, and then a signature. And your mom and dad would fill in your name and they'd fill in the signature giving you permission to go on the field trip to the zoo. And that if you didn't turn in your permission slip, you had to stay at the school while everybody else went to the zoo. Write yourself a permission slip to be human. Right on the, I give Stacy Braiuca permission to be human today. And all of the things that come with being human, like taking the first step, having the feels, examining the feel, write yourself a permission slip. I give myself permission to be a squirrel and value my nuts. Ah! All right, Breakthrough Show Network for the mic drop win again. Breakthrough Show Network. You crack me up, Jessica. That is awesome. I give myself permission to be a squirrel and value my nuts. The third thing that you can do today, and you would think this one was my favorite because of the snarky, manipulative, smartass that I am. But this one's maybe the hardest one, is the tiny rebellion. The tiny rebellion is not that I don't want to rebel. The reason it's hard for me. It's hard for me because it's break one small, self-imposed rule. First, you have to figure out what your self-imposed rule is that you're doing. So let me give you an example and to maybe make it more clear of why I said that's hard for me. Because I have a self-imposed rule working from home that I can't have lunch or fix my lunch whenever I want to because I'm busy on a project, in a meeting, I'm doing something on the computer. And the self-imposed rule is I can't be in the kitchen to make myself lunch. So I have to wait for a period of time. I have to wait for that break in order to go in the kitchen and fix my lunch so that I can eat. And so many times I'm not eating lunch until 2:30, 3:30 in the afternoon because I've had all my meetings and such in the mornings and earlier, and I get busy on a project and I don't go in the kitchen to fix my lunch. And actually by lunch, I mean breakfast because I intermittent fast. So I don't have a first meal of the day sometimes till 2:30 or 3:30 in the afternoon. And while that's good for fasting, it's not always good for your health. And I realized this little self-imposed rule and limiting belief not long ago. It just kind of hit me in the face that the reason I wasn't eating until then was because I imposed a rule on Stacy that said, you can't do this until you have your work done. You can't go and fix food. What kind of crazy messed up rule is that? And when I realized that, the thing I did was, you're on a laptop, silly. You can take the laptop to the kitchen and make your lunch while you're listening to the meeting you're in. There are some meetings that it's okay to take the laptop into the kitchen, put yourself off camera, and fix your lunch while you're in the meeting. You work from home with a laptop to be flexible for a reason. Why are you not taking advantage of the flexibility? Do you see all the silliness that's underneath that one little rule I had for myself? And so the tiny rebellion for that, to break the small self-imposed rule that was having an impact on when I ate breakfast and how I felt for the day, was to remember to remind myself that I can unplug the computer because it's a laptop and it has a battery in it. Take the laptop to the kitchen and fix your healthy lunch while you are continuing to do the work you're doing. And I've done that multiple times since then. Now, this was just in the last 3 weeks that I figured that out. And so I ask you, what is one small self-imposed rule that is holding you back from doing the thing or from fixing a thing or doing something differently that you want to do differently? What's the tiny rebellion that you can break the one rule and do things different? Meanwhile, writing yourself a permission slip to be human and doing things good enough to be 70% perfect with it today. If I had not unplugged the laptop and taken it into the kitchen the first time I had thought about that, I'd still be sitting here till 3:30 every day before I had breakfast. And I know what the limiting beliefs are. But my permission slip says I can be human and a clinical social worker and a master practitioner and a blah, 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 all the credentialy things. My permission slip says I can be human and those things at the same time, and all of it has value, and that I am a valuable human being for all of the things I do. So what does your permission slip say? What are you going to be good enough at today, a 70% perfect? And what tiny rebellion are you going to have and break your own self-imposed rule? Ollie is going to give himself permission to be a nutterly imperfect squirrel. I love it. I love it. So I think I've just about broken my own brain this morning. The next self-imposed rule will be taking a break, because I have self-imposed rule that I need to just forge on and go. And I'm going to take a break instead. So ready is a myth that keeps us stuck. Freedom starts when you question the beliefs you have about yourself. Have a discussion with them. Why are you here? What did you protect me from? What have you done for me? What have you done for me lately? Figure out what they are so that you can have a small rebellion, because that small rebellion may lead to a big breakthrough. Next week, I am so excited. We're going to have our first official guest on the Breakthrough Show Network's favorite show, Show Me Your Nuts. We're going to talk about freedom in action. We're going to talk about turning insights into reality. We're going to talk about advocacy. We're going to see, let me find my pictures here. Thank you, StreamYard, for moving stuff around. We're going to see, why is Alice pissed? Alice is pissed because policies in this world are not exactly where they probably could be, or at least in this country. So we're going to have a guest, and we're going to talk about freedom in action. We're going to talk about advocacy. We're going to really talk about reclaiming the word nuts, one of the cores that brought this show to life. So the last message today is, you don't need to be ready. You just need to be willing. Thank you all for showing me your nuts today. I'll see you next week. Are you feeling stuck? And I hit the wrong button. Now I'll see you next week.
Thank you for joining us on this nutty adventure. Remember, personal growth and wellness are journeys best taken together. Keep exploring, keep growing, and don't forget to show me your nuts next time.
And that should have played after this, but now it's going to play before it.